So there's this meme on my Facebook that comes through once in a while, and it talks about a craftsman and a customer. The craftsman had his table at a fair, and he's selling his wares. The customer comes along and completely has a cow. It's just, you're charging too much for the cost of materials that makes these. You are charging way too much. So the craftsman and the customer had a bartering discussion, and they came to a price that the customer felt was fair for the cost of materials and everything. Paid the craftsman for this item, went home. The craftsman then mailed the customer the items required to make the item. Customer contacts the craftsman and says, "Wait a minute, this isn't a finished item. I paid for a finished item." And the craftsman's like, "You paid exactly for what you got. If you feel something is missing, then perhaps you should be willing to pay for it." Of course, the craftsman's referring to the cost of labor, the time it takes, the skill, the effort, the time it takes to learn, the intelligence. Now, I know we live in a society where we buy clothes from China, and if you don't know anything about the sweatshops in China, now's a good time for you to research if you're truly against slave labor. I, for one, am going to be trying to learn how to make my own clothing. I already do a little bit. I suck at sewing, but hey, you know, if I could just get my sewing machine to work. But when you go to a crafts table here in America, at least, and you throw a temper tantrum like that, which I had done a couple of years ago at my table over a $10 charm that I had made from scratch. It wasn't one of the ones that I sent off to get laser cut, because I really do like how those look. It was one I had made at home from scratch. It took me hours. It takes me days sometimes to make charms. And when you do that, if you are like that, really you're not browbeating an experienced craftsperson into lowering their prices. You're looking like a complete idiot and disrespectful and unappreciative. You're acting like somebody who expects things to be handed to them for nothing. And a lot of craftsmen, especially us older ones, think to ourselves, the world don't owe you a living. So let's discuss this coaster as an example of the situation. This is a coaster I've been making for myself at home. I intend to make 4 of them so I can have a set. And the item that I was yelled over was made out of the same materials. So now we're going to discuss this coaster, and we're going to build it mentally. And I'm going to warn you now, I am not going to bother trying to keep up with the math. I'm going to lose the math because I'm going to be trying more to think of the steps I have to do next and the time. So you can sit down with your little pen and paper and do the math, do math and come up with the accurate number. I'm probably going to round down for easy's sake. Okay. So this is a resin coaster. I have a squishy, foamy bottom because I thought the purple would look good. It's not quite dry yet. I'm not done making it, actually. In fact, you can see the glue squeezing out on the side. But we're going to pretend this coaster's finished because I really want a Darkwing Duck in this film. Okay? First thing I did, if it was a coaster that I was going to sell at a craft fair, instead of finding artwork to use, I would create artwork from scratch. This can take me days. It can take me months. It depends on the artwork. I have posters I sell that's representing artwork that it took me, honest to God, 5 years to do because I would start sketching it and come back and start. Okay, and I'm not saying like 5 years constant. It just takes me, it just took me that long to finish that piece because of circumstances. So, original artwork, boom. Okay, that's strike 1. Strike 2 on this being cheap, okay, is that it's going to be a limited edition handmade. Not made in a factory or anything, completely handmade because that's, what I'm doing. Okay, I have a mold. I would not charge the price of my mold unless I had to make the mold every single time. But this is a reusable mold I have, so I use this mold. It's actually a mold for something else entirely. Don't you love how my computer likes to pling in the middle of these things? So I sat down and I figured out the cost of my resin. And what I figured out is resin can cost anywhere from 75 cents to $1.50 or more per ounce. I'm going to go with a nice, easy number of $1 per ounce. It costs an average of 3 to 4 ounces per coaster. So already we're at $3-4. Okay, so we have, round down, $3 in resin for this coaster because I've got the bottom, and then I've got a layer on top, and then I've got another layer on top, and I may have to gloss again. It depends on how the coaster formed. So $3 in resin alone. The paper, I'll say, I mean, it's probably more than that, but I'm going to say it costs me $1 a sheet. I can do four little squares, a sheet of specialized paper with my fancy printer. So we're going to say $1. So now we're at $3.25. Okay, and then the foam, which is like a penny, and then there's the glue, which is a little bit more than a penny. So that's, $3.25. So let's round up $3.30. So we've got $3.30 in materials in this coaster. People expect me to sell this for like $1, $2, and it's $3.30. I'm not here to give you my shit for free. Okay. Then there's now let's talk time. First there was the time of prepping the paper, doing the artwork if I did original artwork, putting it down, sealing it, making sure that it's not going to bleed, because resin can bleed into paper and ruin your artwork. Then there is layer 1, the bottom, which you can see because I have a nice thing on the bottom. But when I pour it, I have to stir it 10-20 minutes. I have to try to get the bubbles out of it. I pour it. I have to make sure those bubbles are out of it. So that's an hour. And I have time myself. It has taken me more than an hour, actually, per layer. But an hour. Let's say I charge $5 an hour. So we're at $8.30 now. Second layer on top. Then I lay down the artwork, and I do things to keep it from bleeding. That can take a few minutes. It can take longer, depending on your process and what you choose per project. Let's just say that I had this sealed, and I was able to just lay it down, so I don't have to charge anything. So we're still at $8.30. Second layer above the art. Same process, getting rid of bubbles, glossing, going through stuff, stirring everything. Okay. So I tack on another $5, 9, 10, 11, 12, $13.30. And then there's a third layer. Tack on another $5. So now we're at $18.30. And I might do another layer, but it won't be a full resin layer. It'll still be just as much time, but let's just round up to 20. So this is a 20 freaking buck coaster, including my time. I'm making it for myself, don't worry. What the heck would I have to sell it at to make a profit? I can't. There's no way I'm going to do that. That's okay, because, this is for me. Okay. But let's take, for example, these coasters. I have a set of 4 of these. It actually costs less to make these, and this is the type that most people will do. They use a tile that you get, and depending on how you buy them in bulk or whatever, you can do 10 cents or less. But let's say, for the sake of easy, it's 10 cents a tile, 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, then we have the resin. This is about 2 ounces worth of resin on top of these, so that's 50 cents a piece. So, but we'll just say it's $2 because now we're at $2.40 for this set. Plus the stickers, boom, we're going to say, round that up to $3. And what makes these things, and then we have the feet. So let's just say $3.50. Okay, but what makes these ones special is they are one of a kind, and I hand painted them. This is original artwork using materials. So all of a sudden, boom, the value of these coasters just went up, and I'm already at like $3.50. And I'm not just any artist, so I'm at $3.50. With my original artwork on these coasters that just happen to sit in my living room, and I use for whenever I practice the auto harp. Actually thinking about making a red set, then I might sell these. So, I mean, $10 for this is actually cheap. But I might sell these for $10. They're I've taken good care of them. They're worth it. But then you get to this coaster. This coaster goes in my mermaid room. It's actually a guest bedroom, but I like mermaids, and the mermaids tend to gravitate into that room, so it has become the mermaid room. Ah. So we have the mermaid room and this coaster. This coaster was made using some resin and feet, everything just like the other one. The difference, why this coaster is worth more than that set, is because this is original artwork on there. This is an actual painting that I did using acrylic, and what makes this painting different from my other artwork is it's an unusual subject for me. It's a landscape, and on top of that, it's an ocean scene with a sailboat, something I used to see a lot growing up near the island of Amelia, because I was born on an island, and sometimes I just kind of want to get to my roots moments and things, and so I don't do landscapes often. I certainly don't do mundane often, so this is a rare piece of artwork for me. And for those of you who don't know, my artwork isn't like something to laugh at. I mean, sure, you know, I'm not as popular as some of these kids out there doing chibis or whatever, but my artwork's been collected by, you know, by owners of the Plantation, which is this 5-star mega resort that people like Ozzy go to. It has been in museums. I have been hunted down by pretty well-known people. You know, I have been an actual starving artist, and I'm not like, you know, famous like Picasso, but my art is worth more than, say, $5. Which, if I were to be at a craft fair, that's about what people would expect me to sell this very rare, unusual piece of artwork of mine for. Needless to say, it's not getting sold, even if I was willing to part with it. And I'm not. It was made for the Mermaid Room. So, when you go to a craft fair and you yell at that craftsperson about the prices of their hard work, the sweat on their brow, you're just really making a fool of yourself. Because you're showing that you do not respect people. You do not respect hard work, which is really kind of shameful if you're really like that. You know, a smart craftsperson will not be kowtowed to that. You know, a good one. Especially someone that knows their own worth and has a bit of self-esteem. Now, whenever I do my craft shows, I try to price things reasonably. You know, I try to think, all right, I know that I worked hard on this, but, you know, most people that come to my table are not Donald Trump. So when I price things, knowing that things like these coasters are really just a hobby for me, and I really just want to be able to buy more materials. So on my table at a craft fair, not necessarily online, but at a craft fair, you're going to find that I will have more reasonable prices, so that if somebody does come to my table and yell at me, I'm going to be like, whatever. And I might play that old Goofy song whenever he was called Dopey Dog. The world owes me a living, because that seems to be your motto. So, yeah, I do that. Not every craftsman can afford to. The stuff that I do for a living, I am not going to undersell. I am not going to underprice. And I don't recommend you craftsmen out there do that. I am not out trying to compete in coaster making. If you're out there trying to compete in coaster making, I beg you, please do not undersell your stuff. You're not only hurting yourself, you're hurting the market. And you're teaching people to expect unrealistic things. We are not China. We are not in sweatshops. We are not slaves. So don't treat yourself like one. All right. So me and Darkwing Duck are gonna go now. I am the crafter that bursts your bubble.